We mentioned earlier that the primary is coming up. It's September 12th or 13th in New York State. Big implications in New York. Big implications for Andrew Cuomo if he has the ability to go into a national election in 2020 without being embarrassed by Cynthia Nixon. Big implications in terms of Zephyr Teachout because of the jurisdiction that the New York State Attorney General could have in terms of setting, influencing like EPA policy or environmental policies and practices and food safety practices, and also corruption in terms of the Trump administration and in New York State politics. Very big deal. Here is Cynthia Nixon explaining the concept of the IDC. And one of the main reasons why people have big problems with Andrew Cuomo, that he midwifed this IDC, which was the Independent Democratic Caucus, which essentially was just handmaidens to the Republican Party, and were literally paid off to vote with Republicans, given bigger offices, given more money for their staff. I mean, I don't know if it went into their personal stuff, but just about.
I'm talking about with other electeds. So as soon as he went into office, behind closed doors, he incentivized a group of democratically elected state senators to go over and vote.
Right? What are they called?
What are those guys called again?
The IDC.
Yeah,
the
we
IDC.
talk about the IDC, those
Democratic
scumbags.
Conference,
Yeah.
right? And he also allowed the Republicans in the state Senate to gerrymander their own districting maps. So when he did these two big transfers of power to the Republicans in the state Senate, he basically gave them the ability to block pretty much every progressive priority we've had here.
Which for a state that generally votes Democratic.
Yes, 2-1.
Many people are beginning to talk about how not progressive our state is with regard to like raise the age and like you pointed out, the gerrymandering thing,
right,
with regard to how we're dealing currently with city housing and housing issues.
That's the Ebro show.
No.
Where does that?
It's on Hot 97.
Hot 97, which is
Ebro in the morning.
The big urban station that's like
it's
a
a
50,000 watt.
That is a big. They definitely, I would say, helped De
I love
Blasio
hearing
get elected mayor. He was on that show a long time.
It's nice hearing them say, "Oh yeah, the IDC." We talk about those guys. Does Cuomo say anything besides like, "Oh, I'll try to make the IDC less"?
Doesn't he
bad?
just lie about it?
Well, he has now pushed back on it, and theoretically it's gone. But who knows what happens when he gets
But
back.
what about
He
like
did that
originally
before.
doing it?
Huh?
He
Exactly.
did that before when he
it
was challenged by Zephyr Teachout.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the election was over, he
Yeah.
got the gang back together.
But I guess my question is, what does he say to account for making it in the first place?
Oh, he just says like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not in charge of these guys.
that.
I'm not in charge of these guys.
Right.
But he was literally in the room putting it together.
He goes from.
Well, yeah, because then he doesn't have to look like the bad guy for vetoing progressive legislation.
Exactly.
He doesn't have to veto it, right? It just doesn't even come to him with them. They bottle it up.
Well, that's the point.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be put in a position
Right.
of vetoing
Right.
it.
He
He doesn't
doesn't
want to be in
have
a
to do the veto.
position of signing it, because then it would inhibit his chances of being the moderate reach across the aisle guy in the
And his,
fantasy
donor base,
world in
yeah.
which he runs. So,
You want to do the Phil Mudd one too?
yes.